Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Ask Steve Show. This is where we answer all of your mule and donkey questions. My name is Dave Shrine, and this is Steve Edwards. Every week we get together to make sure that you get the answers you need so you can get out there, gain the trust of your animals, get results when you train. There ain't nothing worse than feeling like you put in a hard day's work and you got nothing to show for it. We want you to have something awesome to show for it. We want you to have an awesome mule or an awesome donkey that you can take to all these different rides, that you can take on the trail, that you can take to, heck, even shows. We got mules and donkeys winning shows these days. We want that to be you, and so we're ecstatic that you are here joining us. First off, I want to say welcome, and we want to know that you're here, so put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like. I want to say hello to all of our U.S. friends. I want to say hello to all of our Canadian friends taking us international, all of our friends over in Europe, down under in Australia. We may even have some folks in South America or Asia today, Steve. We've been going international more and more. How have you been doing, Mr. Edwards?
I've actually enjoyed this past 5 days. I was with my son down in the Chiricahua Mountains, and we were hunting turkey. And so we did very good. I had an old friend that has hunted with my son for probably 40 years, friend of the family. He was down there too. So we harvested 2 turkeys, and we were home opening day. We harvested 2 turkeys for the first 2 hours and opening day, and then by 4 o'clock we were home.
That's a full day, but that's a good day.
Oh yeah. Yeah, anytime you can spend time with your son as a father, boy, it's great.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we're recording this on May 2nd, 2022, so if you're watching this in the future, hello from the past. We're so glad that you have come back to join us. I'm taking my son to California for
Great.
3 days. I'm pulling him out of school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to California to Universal Studios Hollywood for 3 days. So me and the 10-year-old just spending a little bit of time together. So
Wow.
I'll piggyback on what you and your son did last week. I'll do it with my son. We love talking about what's going on in our lives. And so we'll do that a little bit here and there, but we really want to talk about what's going on in your life, wherever you're watching from today. So like I said earlier, we would love to know that you're here. We go back, we look at all the comments, we look at all of the conversations. So please put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather's like in the comments section. The second thing we ask is that you ask any and every mule or donkey question that you've got. I've got a list right here that we'll go through for today. We will get to yours in an upcoming episode. So put it in there. I'm diligent about going back and finding these questions, and I'll get them in the queue for the next episode. And then the third and final thing, and Steve, I have to tell you, the folks have been awesome.
Yeah.
The third and final thing we ask is that you share the broadcast. And our people, our friends here in the Mule Ranch community have just been awesome at sharing the broadcast, sharing the video on YouTube, clicking that like button, leaving comments, and subscribing. We're getting more and more folks finding us on Facebook and YouTube because of all of the sharing that all of our friends are doing. Isn't that awesome?
It's Dave, I'm so blessed. I talked to a lady. I don't usually call people on Sundays. Sundays, family time, spend time. But I called this late at night because I had this very important question. And she said, "You're not really Steve Edwards calling me, are you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She says, "Oh, Steve, I've been following you now for almost a year." And wow, and she says, the great thing about it, Steve, I'm not a trainer, but I'm getting results,
Yeah.
and following your methods. So praise God.
We'll keep putting those methods out there. We did something real fun in our last episode. We showed 45 minutes straight of clinic instruction. We've never done that before. That's
Wow.
something brand new. So if you did not see that episode on YouTube or Facebook, go back, find our channel, find our page, and watch the episode from, I think it was April 27th. You're going to be thrilled with what you're looking at. For today, we've got a large collection of questions that have come in. So we're just going to rapid fire these and see how many we can get through before the show's over. The first question we got comes from John out of Utah. He says, "I enjoyed the clinic, drove home into a whiteout. would you review the hand rein position for turning on the front, hind, and pass? And so, John, I want to let you know, we've got some videos up on YouTube. I'm going to put those in there. Steve, it would be kind of hard to do it right here, so I'm going to go ahead and let us get those videos up into YouTube so you can take a look at it.
Okay, you see how well she's standing there?
Yeah.
Okay, don't pick up on the lead rope. That hurts me. It bothers me, you see? When they get to where they have so much respect for that rope, even though that mule is walking off, he would rather follow that mule, but he knows if that rope moves, his nose is going to be uncomfortable. And as long as he stands right there, she's fine. All right, now, folks tell you that their mule, this mule you're going to buy and spend $10,000 for, whatever the case may be, they'll say to you that he's well trained. Okay? If you hear the word well trained, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
What you can do in a 10-foot circle.
What you can do in a 10-foot circle.
That sounds
Because
like
of
a
your
Steve
schooling,
Edwards
because
student right there.
That's what he's taught us.
Yeah, okay. But what comes to your mind? If you come up to look to ride a mule, what are you going to ask him? If you can pay attention to you, okay.
What they use them for.
What they use them for, okay.
Is he?
Get on him safely? Oh, you better stay off of him. There's no such thing as getting on him safely. There's no such thing as a safe mule. They don't exist. In fact, I wished I had my helmets here. My helmets are actually up in Prescott. I usually wear a helmet a lot. No such thing as a safe mule. Why are you getting on him?
Have a guy that you're spying him from get on.
That's right.
Don't you do it.
That's right.
Now I want to see him move, loosen around him too.
That's right.
That's what I did with her.
That's right. So you want to see groundwork. You want to see him pick up all 4 feet. You want to see him catch him. You want to see him brush him. Tied to a hitching post is okay, or this right here. If you really want to impress me, do this. Okay? Now, the next thing, if the mule has a good foundation in a 10-foot circle, they're going to turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, and side pass.
And she didn't know that.
Okay.
But they didn't advertise it. She did.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
never even had arena work.
Okay, there you are. Okay? You can see what she's done here just in a matter of a few hours. Plus what she's done
Well,
in the
since I
past.
got her-
Since
since
you got
the
her past
last
year.
clinic, let's
Since
put
the
it
last
that
clinic, yeah.
With the vet.
Okay, so now, so somebody says he's trained. I say, okay, show me him side passing. What's that? Well, then, okay, show me turn on forehand. What's that? He's not trained. If he don't side pass, he doesn't turn on the forehand. He doesn't side pass, doesn't turn on the forehand. Get that? Doesn't turn on the hindquarters. He's not trained. Oh, but I cross rivers. So what? I go by traffic. So what? Does it have a whoa? Does it have a backup? That's trained. But going up and down the road, or you see some 10-year-old girl riding around in a circle, that's not trained, folks. That's what you see all the time. Or like this one show that I just heard about, I didn't know anything about it, where they call it mules and donks or something like that. Is that what it is? And I just saw some pictures the other day. This guy emailed me, and he said, Steve, can you fix a mule from Bucky? And I said, there's a good possibility, yes. He said, well, I said, well, you know about the history. He says, let me send you a couple of pictures. Here's this mule coming off a straight off hill, no britching on him. The guy's heels are almost touching his rump, like this, going down this really steep hill, and the saddle sitting directly on top of the scapula. And he is almost sitting on top of the shoulder. But he's going down the hill, and he looks really masculine doing it, but he's screwing up the mule. You know, what do you get for a 10-cent ribbon? That's not worth it. You know, it's not worth it. So, let's go back. What's it look like? I take my mule, and I adjust the halter. Okay, show me turn on the hindquarters. So the back end stays in place, front end goes over. So I want the guy to show me. Here the mule goes, and back end stays in place, front end move over. Turn on the hindquarters. Okay? Turn on the forehand. Front end stays in place, back end moves around. If he's trained, We're going to see this. If he's not trained, all you're doing is setting this mule. You're buying a $5,000 mule that doesn't side pass a trail. That's not trained. You guys got the picture? All right? So now we turn on the front end. The front end stays in place. Back end moves around. I'll take it. Side pass. Okay.
Makes that look so
We
easy.
can say that this mule has a foundation. He's got a good foundation. Is he trained? No. He has a foundation. Think more foundation than his training. Where does the training come in? Her riding every day. I put a foundation on him for him to do this stuff. Now she's going to do things a little bit different. He's going to do things a little bit different, but I still have my foundation. Now if the mule one day, he says my mule won't do ABC, I say do this and this, corrects the mule and away he goes. Got the picture? So if my mule has a foundation, not trained, because everybody uses that word loosely, he's got a foundation, he's going to turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, and side pass, okay? And, most important thing, backing up. Because if you got a good backup, you got a good stop.
The next question that we got, this one's from Julie in Kentucky. She says, what happens to a mule that eats poison ivy?
Oh my. I've never had a mule that eats poison ivy, but I have no idea. I would say, keep an eye on it, take it off its feed, put it where you can keep an eye on it, and then have it close to where you can have a vet take a quick look at it. But we don't have poison ivy here, so I couldn't tell you.
Next question. This one comes in from Jerry. Real simple question. Says, can I use my martingale that I use on my mule on my horse as well?
Absolutely. Wonderful tool. I used it on horses way before I was training nothing but mules. It's what we call a cowboy martingale. That's what we called it. I learned from a guy called Twister Heller, great cowboy, solid Christian man and this sort of thing. But what I did then is I put my own design in it. In the horses we use a smooth snaffle bit. In the mules I use a double twisted wire snaffle bit. And now I'm finding out that the double twisted wire snaffle bit has better communication and is not as tough on the horse or the mule or the donkey. So absolutely use it.
So a question on the bits. One of the things that we've noticed by way of COVID supply chains continuing to impact our ability to get the trail riding bit, which is your finished bit, we've noticed that a lot of folks have wanted to go straight for the trail riding bit. And when we have a little bit of a conversation, we wind up finding out that they haven't spent the time with the mule rider's martingale and the double twisted wire snaffle bit.
Right.
Why would they want to use that before they go straight to a finished bit like your trail rider bit?
By the way, Dave, I sent you a text. We now have 5-inch trail rider bits that we have. So put them on.
Well, that goes to my next question. Let's talk about the martingale and why we'd want to use that, and then I'll ask you my question about the trail riding bit.
Here's the problem, folks. Most horse people do not understand foundation. What is foundation? Building blocks. You start with a good foundation, solid foundation, and then you build on it as you go. If you miss a part of the foundation and the block in the wall does not have enough concrete to support it, you're going to have a wall fall down. That's putting it in those terms. Now, these steps are tried and true, what I have used for over 30 years now. They're consistent. I've not found anything else to work better. Have I tried other things? Yes. But here's step number one. Step number one, the mule and donkey care more about their nose than they do their mouth. So when you build a foundation of whoa, back up, go right, go left, you do it from the nose. When you're building a foundation of side passing, turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters. You do it from the nose, and then you add your hand. But you first build a turn right, turn left, using the come along hitch. Notice I said come along hitch, not rope halter. Watch the video that the folks don't just buy the halter and just buy the rope and say, man, I saved a couple bucks. No. That video shows you what you are doing to screw up. And you will. You'll screw up. I guarantee it. Watch how I use the come along rope in that video. And then Dave, the video that you were saying last week, you did 40 minutes. I have had a barrage of people hit me saying, that was so cool. You know,
Yeah.
Jackie from New Mexico, she came to it. And she just said, I can't wait to get home to do this stuff. She sent me pictures of her mule, and I sent them to you, of the mule standing there with the come along hitch on, saddled. She never tied the mule. The mule respected the come along hitch so much. So let's go on. We do our come along work first. Notice I didn't say halter, come along rope. Then we use the mule rider's martingale. Again, folks, I've got a video with the come along hitch. I got a video with the martingale. So the martingale builds a foundation, part of the foundation that we're talking about, and it also fixes problems. So if you've got a problem with one not stopping, if you've got a problem with one not turning, you see, back up, then the martingale fixes those, or part of the building blocks of getting it going. Now, the final step is the trail rider bit. What's the difference between the two, Dave? This is really important. The bit, the double twisted wire snaffle bit, using it with the martingale and with the bridle. That's really important, because if the bridle is a different bridle, it cannot set the bit in the mule's mouth correctly. If the bit is a double twisted wire snaffle bit, it does, and it's got copper on it, it's going to create problems with you. Now, the other thing is, not every double twisted wire bit is correct. I happen to have this one. I had an old cowboy give me one years ago. I found a company to make them, American made, and they made these bits, and that's what's in my bridle. The toolbox together, the bridle, the video, the bit, and the adjustment for the martingale makes one part of the foundation. It communicates to the corners of the mouth, to the tongue, and the bars of the mouth. When you go to the finish bit, which only should be used one-handed, where the mule rider's martingale is used two-handed. All right? Two-handed. The finish bit is to be used one-handed. Can I correct a problem? Yes, I can correct it in a small way. But if that mule grabs his butt and goes to take off running, you don't get the stopping power as you do in the bit, in the martingale. Now, do not stay with that martingale, for a long time. 6 months should be an average. Now, when we go to the finish bit, this is what happens. Now we have the roof of the mouth, and we have the port, and that port whisks the roof of the mouth. It just touches it. Okay, just touches it. It communicates to the bars of the mouth as well, and it communicates to the corners as well, similar to the double twisted wire bit. But here's the difference. Now we no longer are using tongue communication, where the double twisted wire snaffle bit catches it, but now we are using palate communication. So therefore, our communication is more refined and should be used one-handed. Now, when can I go from the mule rider's martingale to the finished bit? Remember, the mule rider's martingale is to be used direct reining with two hands. Okay? The finished bit should be used one-handed. Now, the day I can, one-handed back up, one-handed go to the right, one-handed go to the left, one-handed stop in my mule rider's martingale, which is supposed to be used two-handed. The day I can start doing that, I can start introducing, hear this? Introducing the finished bit. Introducing means this. Everything in 3, 6, 9, 12, folks. Okay? So the bit goes in the mouth, they pick it up and they pack it. That's one. And then it goes on from there. You do not just put it in the mouth and go ride. What you do is allow the mule to spend time picking up that bit and packing it. Allow the mule to do the same thing, hear this, as what you do with the mule rider's martingale. So you put the surcingle on them, extremely important tool. That surcingle, anybody that has a mule or a donkey should be using a surcingle which refines and tunes them up. So let's go on. You put that finished bit with a couple of hay baling twine strings, going back to the surcingle. Make sure you use a proper bridle. Very, very important. Each bit has to have a proper bridle to put the bit in the mule's mouth correctly. So there it is. Don't just jump from A to B. If you can ride your mule 80% off of your legs, you can then start using a finished bit.
So the question that I then have is about the size of the bit. You've just given us instruction on the progression from the come-along rope to the rope halter to the mule rider's martingale to the trail rider bit, the finished bit. When it comes to actually getting the right size of the bit, a lot of folks are very confident about the size that they need, and then when you speak with them, they wind up getting a different size. Can you tell me what they need to know? For instance, we have trail riding bits that are 5 inches. What we need to know in order to be confident that, okay, the 5 inch is going to be the right for me, or no, I'm going to need something bigger. I don't know that we've done anything smaller than 5 inches. You can correct me, but how do I know that that's the right size, or do I need something bigger?
Well, you basically take a string or a small rope and you put it through the mouth and you hold it on one corner, pull it across and hold it on the other corner, take it out and measure it. Now, get this now. This is only a general where to start measurement. It does not mean you need a 5-inch bit or a 5.5-inch bit. Because I'm going to tell you, I use a 6-inch bit. My mule rider's martingale, I use a 6-inch bit on everything. Everything. Okay? Even though it may measure 4.5 or 5, I still use that because of this. That bit is used like a violin bow across the violin. And I need it to go across the bars of the mouth, like this. I don't need it pushing against the face. I need it to communicate to the tongue and the bars of the mouth. Now, when it comes down to the finished bit, it has a port. It whisks the roof, the palate of the mouth. It just touches it. Now, it doesn't make any difference where it touches, because as it moves back and forth in the mouth, it's also going back and forth on the bars as well. Okay? So you can have a mule with big lips, but he really needs a 5-inch bit because his jawbone is narrow. So you got a big drafty kind of a mule, he's going to have big lips. Well, then we get worried about, he's going to get sores in the corner of his mouth. Folks, the majority of these mules that get sores in the corner of their mouth are being incorrectly thought about, because here's the deal. When they have those places on the corner of their mouth, they are doing it to themselves. They are bracing against the bit. So they get a hold of the bit and they push against it. We hold on to them. Don't do that. Don't brace against them even more. You see, they're trying to take control by doing what's called rooting on the bit. So you do this, right, left, right, left. You go right brain, listen to me. Left brain, listen to me. Right brain, listen to me. Don't pull steady. If you do, you're going to teach them to brace, okay? Remember, they're two-brained. I just had a client send me a picture of her colt. Thanks. And she says, I can do everything on the left-hand side, but I can't do nothing on the right-hand side. They're two-brained, folks, okay? When you're working with an animal, saddle them from the right-hand side. Mount them from the right-hand side. Saddle them from the left-hand side. Mount them from the left-hand side. Use both sides. Lead them both ways. Start picking up the right front foot, go to the right rear leg. In other words, use both brains, okay? So, good question, Dave. Next.
Yeah, that's great. And so we had several people write in, including Robin, just asking about sizing and what to recommend. So what you've just given us there is a really great crash course into understanding bits through YouTube, through Facebook. Obviously, when we do a clinic, we need you to come out to the event. We need you to register, we need you to show up, and we need you to participate, and you're going to get the full effect at that point. But one of the things that we love about Facebook and YouTube is it allows us to get this information out to the masses. And so this format really serves as a better alternative to doing the big expo clinic. Of course, there's value in that, but we can address your things one-on-one directly. And then when we do a clinic where it's, hopefully a good group of people, but a smaller, direct, you can see, you can touch, you can feel, you can get more. So Robin, I hope that gives you what you're looking for. And folks who are looking to get a great bidding program going, that should be a solid foundation to get you started. And of course, we're always here to answer questions. We got a question from Joyce. She says, my mule's front left foot toes in a lot. My farrier is trimming it to encourage it to be straighter. Should this mule wear front shoes? We had front shoes on her last year, and it was difficult to tell if she was uncomfortable, so I assumed it was okay. What would you say to Joyce, Steve?
Put shoes on your mules, folks. Don't do this to these mules, all right? That mule's foot is straight up and down. You cannot trim this foot to make it go out. What you can do is put the shoe on it, okay? And I'm going to get here where I can get like this. And you're going to put the shoe on it, and the shoe is going to go a little bit ahead. Now when the foot comes down, guess what it's going to do? It's going to start going forward. You're going to start getting growth without a shoe. You cannot expect this mule to grow a toe, all right? Leave the heel alone. I've told you that. Leave the heel alone unless it's way too long. Now, that's on a rare occasion. But the shoe is going to be corrected in such a way so that when you kick that shoe out, that foot will follow out to the edge of that shoe. And don't just do it just a couple times and think, okay, it's not working. No. Folks, this has been going on for several weeks, months, years. So you cannot, and it's from, a lot of it's from poor farrier work where they're filing it off. You cannot correct a shoe without shoes. They are very comfortable with shoes. I've been riding all my life with shoes, all my life. When I have seen crippled animals, no shoes. Oh, but the wild horses, donkeys, wait a minute. You need to see what I've seen out there. Don't believe the lies that you're hearing. I have seen those crippled horses. I have seen those crippled mules and donkeys from not having proper foot care. The donkey foot is in that mule. It's the worst foot you can get. It's a sorry foot. So without the proper trimming and the proper shoeing, you're never going to fix the problem.
The next question we've got is from Yuta. Yuta is from Germany, so thank you for taking us international, Yuta. She says, I have a 31-year-old donkey who is diagnosed with severe laminitis.
Oh, no.
We adopted her that way. Her coffin bone in front are totally rotated. I don't want her to be in constant pain. At what point is it humane to think about euthanasia?
Now, it's a horrible thing when you have a coffin bone rotated that much. Folks, try to walk around all day just on your toes. Try that. Barefooted, just on your toes, and tell me how long it takes before you start getting sore. Matter of fact, think about it. If you're, not only is that coffin bone rotating, what's it doing to the rest of the leg? So, euthanize it is the best thing for that donkey. There's a lot of things that could have been done way back when, but unfortunately people don't do it. You could take a shoe and you could turn it around backwards where the open part is pointing out toward the toe, and what that will do is that will encourage the outside wall to grow, and you take the outside wall and you rasp it down to where it's bleeding. You hear me? What that does then, that takes away, remember, here's your outside wall, and here's your lamina, that's the white line, and here's your coffin bone, all right? As that outside wall, from poor trimming, from poor shoeing, as that thing starts pushing on that coffin bone starts coming out. Take and rasp off that outside wall, rasp it down so that the lamina, which is the cushion, which is the shock absorber for the cannon bone, okay? When you rasp this off, then the cannon bone will start coming out, and boom, okay? I have worked on animals that in the past, when we had no idea what caused this, I have turned the shoe around and I have rasped that off, and I've actually, and ponies are bad about this, about having the same problem, I've actually fixed the problem. Now, if this has been going on so long, you know, have a heart. Have a heart. Don't allow that mule to be, that donkey to be crippled and be an ornament. Don't do that, folks. Think about this animal. It doesn't have the pain threshold you have. This animal can withstand a ton of pain and not show it. I've literally seen them standing up with colic and a few seconds later fall over dead. Okay? They brace in the pain. They do. Okay, so do your animal a favor. Euthanize him.
Okay, Steve, the next question that I have, this one came in from Facebook from our friend Julie. I have 2 female donkeys at our nonprofit farm animal sanctuary that are not saddle donkeys and are only halter trained. I also have a gelding who is a fully trained saddle donkey. I purchased him in February as my own private saddle donkey. He had to have surgery, so had been confined for a while, although his corral is right next to the 2 girls. He is now healed and really wants to roam the 5 acres of mountain property with the 2 girls that we have. We allow all of our equine to roam for some exercise and for their mental health. It's not flat land, but quite uphill with lots of trees, rocks, and shrubs. Do you see any harm allowing him to roam with the others? I haven't been able to ride him as I've had some physical issues that first need to be addressed, and I will be taking lessons as I'm a beginner, so I don't really want him stuck in his corral all the time. Right now, all I can do is take him for walks for short distances. I'm also revisiting the basic groundwork from your video with him. Thank you very much. So this is one of our new friends, Julie, over on Facebook. And what would you have to say to her about the situation she's got?
Julie, it's nice that you're thinking about, oh, it's going to feel so good to go out in that pasture with all of our other friends, and walk around and get exercise, which has its points, okay? But your exercising and walking is actually better for the both of you because, number one, the donkey don't need you, but you're being the herd leader by taking the donkey out. The donkey will be in a pasture that he don't need you there. He's got his friends, he's got his food, he's got his water, he's got everything, okay? It makes me feel good, it makes you feel good, so to speak, let's go out and let him just roam around and enjoy life. Not. Here's my wife's mule. 28 years she stayed in a 20 by 20 stall. Hear that? She was 28 years old. We got her from a 2-year-old. So 26 years she was in a 20 by 20 stall. Did we take her out? Yeah. Did we go out and go for rides? Yes. Did we take them for walks? Yes. Was she also used for a variety of other things? Yes. Okay. But only a 20 by 20 stall. Now, here's the good thing about this. Number one, it keeps you being the herd leader, and the donkey does not need you when he's out there in that pasture. He's got his buddies. You're a predator. They're a prey animal. So let's go back. Let's go look at the health of this donkey. When you are watering and feeding and cleaning up after the donkey, you can tell how healthy is my donkey. How healthy is it? When you look at the road apples that hit the ground, how do they look? That's really important. How firm are they? How wet are they? How, this sort of thing. How much water is this mule intaking? Okay, is this donkey intaking? When I say mules, donkeys, same thing. All right. And when you're feeding the proper nutrition. Donkeys can very easily, extremely easy, get grass founder. No donkey should be turned out in a pasture running free. Okay, when it comes down to if you're going to be using them for anything but a guard animal. If you're using it for a guard animal, listen, that's a great animal, but here's the downside of this, that they will start paying the price. They will start getting grass foundered. You will start having problems with them physically and mentally and health-wise. You should be able to take your mules and donkeys, keep them in a small pen, and go from there. I realize that, yes, if they're used for animals to be protecting animals, that's all his place is. Well, a lot of people don't worry about their health. That they get grass foundered. You wouldn't believe how awful it is to have one grass founder, big cresting neck, stuff like this. So if it was me, you folks, take your mules and donkeys, put them in a small pen, you feed them and water them, take care of their health.
Next question that we got, this one comes from Paula. She said, how do I get dewormer down a mule that can spit it all out?
Yeah, that's the tough part. Well, the paste wormer is actually the best wormer you can do. You can also do other wormers that you actually can put into the grain. But the best thing you can do is, number one, put the come-along hitch on. Okay? And then when they fight you, you can bump on the come-along hitch and tell them that's an incorrect situation. Theirs is flight and fright. So you've got a long paste gun. This is what I do, is I take that, I cut the end of it off about the first half an inch, and I shove it way back up in the corner of the mouth, and as quickly as I shove it up in there, I put on the plunger at the same time. So many folks do it incorrectly. They'll put it up in there, and then they'll try to put the plunger. No, as soon as you start sticking it in the mouth, push on that plunger and zap it in there. That way you shoot it to the back of the mouth, okay?
Question came in from Michelle. She says, I'm completely new to mules, so welcome to the family, Michelle. We're glad that you're here. I have had horses for 40 plus years. When doing a pre-purchase exam on a mule, what should be included in that exam that you may not do for a horse? I've read to get x-rays of the scapula, all 4 feet for ringbone, and jaw for TMJ. Others say hocks and stifles. I want to be the best owner I can be and ensure I buy a healthy mule. I'd be so grateful for any advice. Thank you for your time. What would you say to Michelle?
Absolutely. Hock and stifles, that's an important too. But here's the number one problem that usually happens with folks. They're using the wrong saddles and they're breaking down that scapula. So, scapula number one. If you still got the money, then go ahead and have the veterinarian look at the teeth. If you still got the money, have the veterinarian chiropractor look at the rest of the back. If you still got the money, then especially ring bone. Oh, really, really important. I was just talking with a lady today about that. So yes, if you got the money and you're able to do it, believe me, it's money well spent, because I can't tell you of how many people have spent $10,000 for a mule, take it home, and a year later they can't ride it. Well, now it's too late, because here's the problem. you didn't do an exam, a complete exam to know what happened. And now it's not the, quote, owner's fault that you didn't do something right away. Now, even if you do it within 30 days and call them up and say, hey, my mule's crippled, a lot of them say, oh, it wasn't crippled when it left here. So, yes, do your pre-purchase exam, have that vet really go over that animal and make sure it's right.
Next question that we've got, this one was emailed in from Candace, and so she says, Dear Steve, I live in Indiana, and I have just 2-year-old mule that looks very thin, and I can see and feel his ribs. I have wormed him, but he still looks very thin and his coat seems dull. I feed him a low sugar feed called Purina Strategy. It's a low sugar feed that I get from my halflingers. I know you suggest feeding Lake and Light, and I would love to, but where can I get it? I have looked and seems I cannot do what you suggest I feed. Oh, I cannot. What do you suggest I feed him? He also is on grass pasture now, and grass hay went in. I love your videos and open talk. Thank you so much. I must say, at the Hoosier Horse Fair one year, and enjoyed your talk so much it prompted me to get a mule. It's been a journey. Thank you. So Candace, I'll say right from the get-go that as far as getting the Lake and Light, yes, it's only available in certain places, but no, you don't have to have that feed. You can go to the website, look for Mules Can't Stand Prosperity. Just do a search on Google for Mules Can't Stand Prosperity, and you will find the basic ingredients of the Lake and Light feed. Now, for all of our friends watching who can get Lake and Light, this is just a recommended starting point for your feed. What you want to do is get either a hair follicle sample or a blood test done so you know what deficiencies your animal has as it comes to vitamin and minerals. Now, on top of that, you're going to want to feed according to use, and so that might adjust some of the portions and some of the things that you will give. So I'll say that. Now, Steve, what would you say for Candace in addition to that?
Well, definitely, Dave. You hit the nail on the head. Folks, my vitamin needs and my needs are going to be different than Dave's, okay? So doing the blood test or the hair follicle, start there, folks. Don't just buy the miracle feed strategy or this other food. Don't do that. Get a sample, get the veterinarian to do a hair follicle sample first or a blood test. Then and only then are you going to know my mule, my donkey needs this particular feed. Start there.
It's great. So let me see here. You sent in an awesome video from one of our friends who came to the clinic, Kim. They've got some really cool things that they're doing on their property. Steve, I'm going to go ahead and play this video, and then we will come back and I'll let you talk about it.
Toby.
Oh, got her hung up there. All right.
Good job, B.
It's not easy walking.
You know what? Then you got a big fat horse in your way. Nipper, get out of the way.
Nipper.
Go, Nipper. Nipper. Now, we don't need to go the long way.
I would say that Burrita is idiot proof because
Yeah.
he was an idiot and she didn't seem to care.
All right, B-ho. Good job, girl.
Look at her weight.
Hold on.
Load is emptied, unhooked, rehooking, staying like a good girl.
Well, just waiting for commands like you should. The line's right. Okay, B, go. Let's go. Come on, take us out. I know. It's tough sledding.
Well, that's literal.
Tough sledding. Good girl. Squeeze the sled's empty. Good job. Oh, now we got another fat horse in the road. Go, B.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Steve, that was awesome. What do you want to talk about for this video? I'll go ahead and play it so people can keep watching it, but we've seen it. What do we want to notice here?
Here's what's important, folks. What you got to understand, she's not a trainer. She didn't have a trainer fix it first. Matter of fact, she had some issues with this mule, with not only physical, but training issues and this sort of thing, this little mini mule. And now look at it. It's working. It's pulling a sled. It's pulling manure out. Wait a minute. She's not a professional trainer. Come along hitch, come along hitch, come along hitch. Okay? Start there first. Proper bidding and proper technique. All she did, folks, all she did was take the few simple techniques that I'm trying to teach you and follow that way.
One of the questions that we had, well, you were talking at the clinic, and for those of our friends who are just joining in, the clinic was something that we had back in April of this year. And so that clinic was April of 2022. And so that clinic, we had a lot of folks come out. It was a great event. We had a lot of fun. And one of the things Steve said was so many folks are stuck in a rut. Folks are stuck in a rut. And so one of the attendees raised her hand and said, "What do you mean by stuck in a rut?" And Steve went on to say, "What I mean is this is the way that it's always been done, or this is what I was taught from my grandpappy, or this is the way that so-and-so told me to do it 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 years ago." And so they create these ruts, and all of a sudden you've got these ruts where folks are doing things not because it's the proper way, but it's because it's the way that they know, or it's the way that they heard. And so what we are saying here is, hey, if Steve can learn something new here after 40 years of working with the animal, you can learn something new too. And that's the thing. Even on this episode, you heard Steve say, "Hey, I've never heard of the poison ivy. I don't know." Hey, there's nothing wrong with saying that you don't know, because it puts you in a great position to learn. And so yeah, I just think that's a great point that I wanted to go ahead and emphasize there. So that's all of our show today. That's everything that we got. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. If you haven't introduced yourself yet, please do that in the comment section. Put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like. We would love to know that you're here. And if you have any questions that you'd like for us to answer in our next episode, go ahead and put those in there as well. I do my best to go through and check every single video for all of the questions and get them added so that we can answer them week in, week out. You can get results. Steve, anything you want to say before we're all done today?
Hey y'all, it was good to spend some time with you again today. Thank you so much for putting forth the effort and listening to a different way of thinking for training. I want y'all to know that you can do this on your own. Take your time, enjoy it. Enjoy your animal. Don't turn your animal over to someone you don't know. Don't turn your mule, your donkey, over to someone that doesn't really have the experience. And I tell you, it's kind of unique, because folks are just getting a really good idea of how this come along hitch is going to change your thinking. Watching these videos and this sort of thing, folks, put forth the effort, you'll do good. Hey, thanks again. We'll be looking forward to seeing you in the future.
All right, thanks everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.